Hello, viewers. Welcome to this series on human growth and development. In this video, we will try to understand some of the basic factors related to human growth and development. Let's move forward and we will try to understand the broad concept of growth and development. When we talk about development, development is a progressive series of changes that occur as a result of maturation and experience. So, in other words, development is a sum total of the progress made by an individual in his or her lifetime, which is a combined phenomena of his mental maturity and physical maturity or growth. When we talk about growth, growth is addition in quantity. Growth and evolution takes place in the early years of life, whereas atrophy or involution takes place in later years of life. In the early years of life, addition takes place in the body of an individual in terms of gaining body weight and more motor autonomy. In the later part of life, a reduction of physical abilities starts taking place, like loss of hearing, eyesight, immunity, and motor autonomy. It is also to be noted that growth in human body can sometimes be undesirable, like facial hair or growth of cancerous cells, etc., which has nothing to do in the development process of an individual. Now we'll try to understand in detail the difference between growth and development. So when we talk about growth is mainly physical and development is physical as well as psychological. Another factor is that or another difference is that addition or increase in value is specific to growth, and that means growth is merely addition in the body parts of an individual over its lifetime. For example, increase in height, weight, motor capacity, reproductive capacity, etc. When we talk about development, it is the overall progress in terms of an individual's physical growth and the increase in capabilities and capacities, both physical and mental. Let us take an example. An infant grows and is able to sit and crawl and then finally able to walk. This is the result of physical growth. Now, when the child learns to speak different languages and play outdoor games, this is development. If a child grows up to an age of 4 years and is unable to speak, then though growth has taken place, but there is lack of development, as the child is unable to speak a language which is very specific to a child of a 4 years age. So we will say that development has not taken place, though growth has taken place. It is also to be noted that growth can also be unwanted or undesirable addition, whereas development is always desirable. Another difference is that growth declines at a certain age, but development is a continuous process and it continues throughout the lifespan of an individual. Now we will try to understand some of the factors which is related to human growth and development. Now the factors which we are going to discuss, these have been taken from the book called Developmental Psychology, which is written by Elizabeth Hurlock. So we will be discussing the points which have been which has been compiled by her. So the first factor is early foundations are critical to development. So attitudes, habits and pattern of behavior at an early age determine adjustability in later life. The first 2 years of life are very critical, as experiences at this time determines competence of an individual. So why it is important to understand? Because if we understand the growth process and the development process at this particular time, Then if you find that there is maladjustment of an individual, then this can be modified in the later part of the lifespan. And these maladjustments can be modified with three sources, that is parental help, treatment, that is psychological treatment, and self motivation. Sometimes parents identify that okay, my child is maladjusted, so they go and seek help, and then they try to adjust the child. They can take it to a psychologist, and then psychological treatment can help to prevent the maladjustment. And sometimes an individual in the later part of their life, they can identify, okay, I am maladjusted, I have some disability, and then I can through self motivation the person can improve their behavior. Another factors which is very important for human growth and development is that maturation and learning play a vital role in development. There are mainly two types of functions in development. The one is the phylogenetic function, which is motor or physical, like sitting, creeping, walking, running, etc. The other one is the ontogenetic function, that is learning of skills like swimming, driving, skating, etc. So development takes place as a result of maturation of body and mind, and these are related to each other. Certain skills can only be learned with a degree of physical maturation. On the other hand, mental maturity of development controls the motor function of the body. If the ontogenic function cannot take place without the phylogenetic function. So phylogenetic function helps to boost the ontogenetic function. Another factor very important for the growth and development is the development follows a definite predictable pattern. So we can predict development, in which pattern the development will take place. And when we talk about human growth and development, it also takes place in a specific direction. So when we talk about growth can be undesirable, but when we talk about development, it is always in a particular direction. So there are mainly two principles that govern development. That is, one is cephalocaudal law, and the other one is the proximodistal law. As per the cephalocaudal law, development takes place from top to bottom, that is from head to toe. Since an infant is in the womb of the mother, development of the brain takes place first, moving towards the upper body parts towards the lower body part, means starting from the upper body, that is head, towards the toes. Even after birth, children first gain control over their heads and display head and face movement, and then with their arms are able to crawl, and finally legs develop and they are able to walk. The other principle is the proximodistal law, which according to which development takes place from central part of the body towards the peripheral parts, that is first the spinal cord develops, and then the abdominal parts develop, that is develop moving towards the limbs. So the first arms will develop, and then the forearms, and then the wrist and the fingers. So why it is important to know? Because knowledge of these patterns helps us to plan for the future development. Another factor which is very important in the human growth of development is to understand that all individuals are different. That is, no two individuals are absolutely same. So individuals are differences. We see that in a society we always get to see individual differences. Even siblings who have grown up in the same family with same parents, all the siblings are different from one another. So in this mainly three factors, these 3 points are important. We need to consider, that is, adults are more complex than children. So when we say that adults are more complex than children, we mean that adults possess Various beliefs, attitudes, and their thought process are greatly governed by their social experiences. Therefore, they are more complex than children. Their complex thinking is boosted by the advanced cognitive ability, which progresses as a child develops to adulthood and later phases. A child would describe, for example, we can take an example like a child would describe an orange as an orange in color or round in shape. But when we ask an adult with the same orange, the adult would describe an orange as a fruit available in a particular season with a typical taste and type of variety, etc. Another point we need to understand is the individuals react different to different stimuli. It is a very inherent capacity of human beings to react to a stimuli in the environment, but every individual has their own receptive capacity and they react accordingly. Two people in the same environment will react different to a particular stimulus. Third point is that individuality makes social progress possible. Now, society is a system which needs various types of skills and capacities in people. To fulfill various tasks, it is very important that people are different. It is this individual inherent capacity which makes some fit for one particular job and some for another. So in a society, when we talk about society, everybody cannot be in the same profession. Like for example, everybody cannot be doctors. There has to be some policemen, some engineers, some businessmen, and so on. So functionality and progress of a society depends on this unique inherent capacities of individuals. Next factor in human growth and development is each phase of development has a characteristics behavior. When a baby behaves in a particular way which is different from how an adolescent behaves, so each phase has a characteristic behavior. So it is said that every phase has a particular characteristic behavior. So the individual is in a state of equilibrium if he or she behaves typical to its phase. So when a baby behaves like a baby, it is said to be in equilibrium. And adolescents behave like an adolescent, then he or she is said to be in equilibrium. So the equilibrium may also occur during so this phase. It is also possible that a period of disequilibrium may also occur during one phase or during the transition from one phase to the another. Like certain behavior of a previous phase may at times reoccur at a later stage, which has to be addressed. For example, sometimes a child of 10 years old may start behaving like a baby. So this condition is called, that is a period of disequilibrium, and then this has to be addressed. Another factor very important for human growth and development is that each development phase has hazards. Now it is very important to understand this point because this is what makes social workers come into play, that they have to address the hazards associated with each phase. So these hazards can be challenges associated with a particular phase, and if you have the knowledge of this can be prevented. So each phase has some danger or hazards associated with it, which has to be prevented for better development of an individual. So if it is not addressed, it may hinder the development phase, or it may exhibit undesirable attributes in an individual. So it is very important for social workers to understand the hazards associated with each phase of development. Development is aided by stimulation. What do we mean by this? It means that though the development is natural, but external stimulation plays a vital role in easing and speeding up of development process. Like when we encourage a person to use an ability which has to be developed at that stage of life, like talking, reading habit, etc. So development is boosted by external stimulation, and this external stimulation can be parents or peer group or the caretaker, etc. anything. Another point is development is affected by cultural changes. Cultural changes, by culture we mean standards of pattern of behavior which influences the development of interest in behavior. You might have noticed that children who grow up in a particular culture adopt the belief system, norms, and other cultural patterns of that particular culture. This is why individuals of different culture have different perceptions and thought processes. So it is very important for social workers to understand that development is affected by cultural changes, and accordingly a person thought process and perception is very much influenced by the culture to which he or she has been exposed. Another factor is social expectations for every stage of development. Now, when we talk about social expectations for every stage of development, is that every individual is supposed to perform certain tasks at a particular stage, and this is called as developmental tasks. This developmental task helps individual acquire skills required by the society. Now, this hazard of developmental tasks affects attitudes of individual. Now, with each phase of development, an individual is expected to acquire certain skills, which has to be as per the norms of the society. Learning of these skills helps in becoming a productive member of the society, and if there is any hazard which hinders acquiring of skill, it has an effect on the attitude of the individual. Next factor is traditional beliefs about people of all ages. So here two main points are important, that is stereotype about behavior of a particular age, and there is individual rate of growth and development. Now, people behave with other people according to their age. In general, age is associated with development, and people hold the idea that individuals at a certain age should behave in a particular way. Now, however, the development phase corresponding to an age may vary from individual to individual. So, the rate of development may vary. Some people may develop earlier, and some people may take some time to develop. So, the time difference can be there. So this is very important to understand that everybody do not develop at the same pace. The pace differs from one person to another person. So these are all some of the factors which we have discussed, which is very crucial to understand the human growth and development. So we will be discussing the different phases of human growth and development and the associated hazards in the subsequent videos. So here is some of the sources which were referred to for making this video, and the content which is presented in this video. So I hope you would have liked the video and the context. So thank you for watching.